All right, all right. Now, we have some great content for you right now. Thank you to these two gentlemen,
In
Andre,
case I can stop it.
Andre Wilson, and Coach Greg Adams. So that's what we're gonna watch, right? And um, this is 2 hours and 11 minutes, as you can see. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch 30 minutes on part one. So I just do four parts of it. See if we can get it all. Um, but right now we're gonna try to do the first 30 minutes. I'll add some commentary with it, and then we'll check the comments as well and see any stories or if people are agreeing, disagreeing with what's going on. But before I get into this, right, the topic is marriage worth it, right? That's what they're discussing. So um, Andrew is coming more from a biblical viewpoint, and Greg Adams isn't. He's coming from more of a neutral, regular, non-religious, what's going on right now standpoint. So we'll just see who validity here. We'll add validity where I think it should be added, and we'll see what we can learn from this. But before we get into this, right, I did my own researches first to kind of start this off and mediate it, right? So we're gonna go to hold on. So I don't know what that means. Uh, let's type this in. I was just typing it really fast. Okay, so I want to start with this first, and we'll go back up, just so I can show you the part in the Bible. You can go look it up as well. So first of all, is marriage worth it? Well, the purpose of marriage, we're going to get into that as well, is for God. So actually, let's start there. Let me find where I talked about where it talks about the purpose of marriage, right? Purpose of marriage in the Bible. The purpose of marriage in the Bible. Companionship in Gen 2:18, God said it's not good for man to be alone. Marriage provides partnership and support. So that is facts. Unity. Genesis 2:24 describes marriage as two becoming one flesh, symbolizing deep spiritual and physical unity. Reflection of Christ in the church. Ephesians 5:25 through 32 shows marriage as a living picture of Christ's sacrificial love for the church, because it tells the man to love the woman how Christ loves the church, and it tells the woman to respect and love the man the way the church would respect Christ, which is her husband. Love him like you would love the Lord. So she has to give up sacrifice and control. He has to give up sacrifice and domination. He can dominate her, he sacrifices. She can try to control him, sacrifices. Fruitfulness. Marriage is also the foundation for family life, with the command in Genesis 1:28 to be fruitful and multiply. So this is just a general understanding. To add my own little sauce to it, it's a godly mission. You should have a godly mission. It should be about God. Me personally. If marriage isn't about God, then that's why, me personally, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it is set up for you to just be with another human being if it isn't about God. Something bigger than the two of you. It has to be bigger than the two of you. It should be you and her with a godly mission. And if she don't want to help you with your godly mission, then that ain't the woman aligned. I think that's the problem, right? Alignment. I think a lot of us men, if we ever are in these situations, ask yourself, did you have sex before marriage? That don't solve every single problem. No, it doesn't. But did you? Because if you had sex before marriage, then maybe you didn't vet her out enough, right? And maybe you didn't understand the biology behind it, that you're going to release vasopressin, which is a what? Protection hormone, right? We looked that up too. But I don't want to talk too much about me because I'm watching the time. This is about the video. Let's read some more. Roles of mothers in teaching. Instruction in faith. So Proverbs 1:8 say, do not forsake your mother's teaching. Moms are called to guide children in wisdom and godliness. I'm reading on this for a reason. Because if the woman didn't more than likely get taught this at home, there is chances that she can be serious on her own. But it starts from home. She don't have a good foundation at home. Modeling values. Children often learn more from what they see than what they're told. A mother's example of kindness, patience, and devotion shapes their character. So again, if the woman didn't see this modeled by the mom, this is what the Bible says, right? It also says, don't spare the rod. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. So if she was not disciplined by the mother from a biblical viewpoint to comprehend what it would take, then you got to watch out for that. What do I mean? If her mom isn't sitting here telling her what her biblical role is when she gets a husband as she's growing up, and she truly accepts it, then you're gonna have problems. Even with it, you still can have problems. Raising children, stay on the right path. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Well, one more time. So if they did not get taught this, then they don't have anything to not depart from. Okay? I'm just giving these disclaimers, right? Before we get in. Paul teaching on marriage and singleness. Marriage brings challenges. In 1 Corinthians 7:28, Paul writes, those who marry will face many troubles in this life. And I want to spare you this. He acknowledges that marriage, while good, comes with responsibilities and difficulties. So this is biblical. That it's gonna come with trouble. It's gonna come with problems. It's gonna come with taking you away from the Father to focus on your partner. It's gonna happen. Nowhere did it say marriage is fun time. It's sacrifice time. That's what marriage is. Sacrifice time. Freedom, preference for singleness. In 1 Corinthians 7:7, Paul says, I wish that all of you were as I am, but each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. So Paul himself was single and saw it as a way to serve God without distraction, but you getting married is still a gift from God. If you're getting married and you don't feel like it's a gift from God and there's a godly mission that you need to fulfill for the higher power, then I truly understand why it could eventually just fade off. Because it's going to become about selfish reasons and not about God. Okay. Let me see if I got any more disclaimers, right? Purpose of marriage, So why is the divorce allowed? Jesus teached. So Jesus teached sexual immorality. So if someone commits adultery, divorce was allowed. Paul said not bound. Paul knows that an unbelieving spouse abandons the marriage, the believer is not bound. So if someone just straight up leaves you, then you're not bound to stay and wait for them, right? But they don't really. It says what God brought together, you don't take apart. That's what it says. How are men and women supposed to love in the Bible? We're going to go through that, and then we're going to get into the video. I'm cruising on 10 minutes. Okay. Ephesians 5:25. It says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. That's what I was telling you, right? Just as Christ sacrificed himself for the church, a man's love is meant to be selfless, putting the needs of his partner above his own comfort. And a woman, it says, Ephesians 5:22-24, wives, submit yourself to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. So respect and honor. Just as believers honor the Lord, a woman's love for her husband is expressed through deep respect. So remember that as well. Okay, now let's get into the video and we'll see if any of these have to come up later. All right.
Okay, let me scroll. They doing it from the phone. Oh no, which one do we go for?
Yeah, you guys probably have a lot of overlap, I'd imagine.
Yeah. That built the community of America.
Your guy was
my
updating.
stupid phone.
Oh, it was your phone. Oh.
Seeing your firm, it's an
That built the community of America. Most of the better communities that have safety, good children, good schools, are typically centered around marriage. However, marriage has not progressed to the point where men could be safe legally. And
sure he can bring it in.
Because all of that is going to matter.
Let's get this thing going.
All right.
I'll kick it off. You guys ready?
Start.
Yep.
All right.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm ready, y'all. Come on.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I'm good. Come on.
Okay, guys, finally getting started. Thanks for being patient. I know there was some delays. We got Andrew here versus Coach Greg Adams, aka the Free Agent Lifestyle. We're going to talk about today, is marriage worth it for men in the West?
I'm in the middle.
So let's get into some opening statements. Who wants to start off?
Yeah, man, marriage is a great institution. It was an institution that built the community of America. Most of the better communities that have safety, good children, good schools are typically centered around marriage. However, marriage has not progressed to the point where men could be safe legally, and a lot of men have experienced tremendous damage, collateral damage as a result, and it has led to broken families, a lot of broken hearts, simply because the laws are not positioned to benefit both people in a divorce. Therefore, you have no-fault divorce. You have opportunities for women to use the courts against men. And as a result, men have seen 1, 2, and 3 generations of men getting harmed, their grandfathers, their fathers, their uncles, their brothers getting harmed by this. So Generation Z men are not positioning themselves for a positive marriage. So at this particular point, if someone asked me, would I recommend marriage for them, and they were in a certain position in life, they weren't established, I would say no. There's no benefit for the person to get married today.
Got it. Your response, Andrew?
Yeah, I didn't hear any anti-marriage arguments. I heard anti-divorce arguments. So I'm with you on divorce, 100%.
Stream over.
And
But you agree.
But it's a good thing that the topic isn't on divorce, it's on marriage. And it seems like you agree with my proposition then. And the proposition is that marriage, quote, is a great institution.
Yep.
And that right now your concern is that men can't be safe in marriage, but that's not actually what you're saying. You're not saying men can't be safe in marriage, they can. You're saying that they may not be safe in divorce. So I have a counter proposition for you. My counter proposition is, what if it's the case that you can use religious marriage institutions without the state? And then we add the ecclesiastical structure of the marriage. That's what always kept them together anyway, before the state was ever involved. So what if instead we use the ecclesiastical church, the structure of the old churches, that would be Catholicism and Orthodoxy, where you see the lowest divorce rates, because the community puts pressure on the women to act right. That's what they do. Right now, the state applies no pressure on women to act right, right? You can just go and file whatever you want, get a divorce, and go be banging the neighbor by the next night. We totally agree on that. But to say that we should abandon marriage is silly. It seems like you're completely pro-marriage. You're just anti-divorce. So why wouldn't you just throw your weight behind institutions where the divorce rate is the least, and you have an ecclesiastical structure which can be appealed to assist with that? That's what makes no sense to me.
My response to that is, if we're fifths, we beat all drunk. All right, so that's a scenario that just
But why would? Let's hear.
isn't present.
Can you explain the analogy for me?
Well, if we use if, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If we say if we have a situation where this is present, then this would work. Well, that makes sense. If we had that,
we do
would
have
work
it right now.
Well, it doesn't necessarily work because, and I'm going to tell you why, because a woman can go to a divorce attorney and they can simply just say, hey, listen, it was a off the cuff, off the state divorce, but you got married within a certain state, or she filed in a certain state, so therefore the divorce goes on.
No,
Absolutely,
okay.
yes.
Well,
Listen, I've been with the divorce attorneys, and what they'll tell you is, hey, listen, you can get married in a ritual, you can get married in the orthodoxy, you can get married off record, but if she files and that woman is hell-bent on saying, we got married, I don't care if it was a ceremony where we walked on coals with our feet bare.
If she files what? Divorce? Let's see. Let's fact check. Okay. If I marry a guy, no courts, can a woman file for divorce or sue? Let's see. In Christianity, marriage is seen as a covenant. Churches may recognize or bless a marriage, even if it isn't registered with the government. Within this framework, divorce is considered a spiritual matter guided by biblical teachings. However, a purely religious marriage without legal registration does not automatically prevent civil consequences if the couple is also legally married. If you are legally married within and registered with the state, then civil courts have jurisdiction. A spouse can file, blah blah blah. What? If the marriage is legally no? What if it's not? Like just Bible. What if it's not legal? If it's only religious, just under the Bible Church, and not registered, civil law generally does not recognize it as legal marriage. So it wouldn't. The couple may see themselves as married before God and faith community. Churches may honor Divorce in this context be handled within the church or faith tradition. Civil courts do not intervene because legally no marriage exists. So I think that's what he's trying to say. You could do it this way, where that way it's not recognized by the state, it's only recognized by God. No divorce filing. Since the state doesn't recognize the marriage, a spouse cannot file for divorce in civil court. No lawsuits tied to marriage, property division, alimony, or custody rights that come with legal marriage don't apply. Children in custody. If children are involved, custody and support are still governed by civil law, but not through divorce proceedings, rather through family law cases. Okay, so you might have to go to family court if you have kids, and then legal protections missing. Without civil marriage, spouses don't automatically get rights like inheritance, tax benefits, or medical decision-making authority. All right, let's get back into it. We're gonna have to fact check, okay? So I don't know. Let's go back and see what he's saying again.
You is, hey, listen, you can get married in the ritual, you can get married in the orthodoxy, you can get married off record. But if she files and that woman is hell-bent on saying, we got married, I don't care if it was a ceremony where we walked on coals with our feet bare, that's considered a marriage. You also have common law. You have a lot of other ways for that woman.
That is considered a marriage, but not under the law. Of just what we just read is not under the law, though. It would just be under the spiritual matters handled by the churches, not by the legal law system. That's just what it said. Now, if you got kids, that may have to go to civil. It's a family law, family courts. But that ain't divorce court.
To establish marriage.
How does your way eliminate common law?
I don't have any way to eliminate common law. So what I have is a way for men to avoid.
Well, then the
being
argument's
used
silly.
No, the argument's not silly. So here's what you have. You have a if proposition, which doesn't exist for most men. Most men aren't religious. Most men aren't looking to be under a religious orthodoxy. So it doesn't apply. So you're taking
That's valid. That's valid. But I do want to just say it doesn't apply, but the numbers show that it's a better option than the option they are taking. It doesn't apply to them. They don't have to do it. But again, the numbers, I think that's what Andrew was saying. The numbers do show that it's a better option than what they would take outside of it.
A moral standard or a religious standard to apply to people who aren't under that veil.
So let's start with a couple of things you said which are fundamentally untrue. Most men are religious, in fact, including in this country. Most of them, not some of them.
But they're not religious.
Hang on. I didn't interrupt.
I understand, but maybe just take that point. Most aren't under your religion.
Okay.
We can agree with that.
So here's the thing, though. But Catholicism and Orthodoxy is growing rapidly. And if it's the case that the ecclesiastical structure is already there, which it is, right? If you're going to cohabitate with a woman, the thing that you're offering right now is common law marriage anyway, if there's cohabitation at all. You're not protecting anybody from that. At least under my model, it gives an ecclesiastical structure that's designed to prevent divorce by applying community pressure. That was the way it was always done. Apply the application of community pressure within the confines of the woman's social circle. Right now, do you agree with me, for instance, that many divorces happen because women like to yap? So you get a freshly divorced woman, and she's free. You go, girl. Girl power.
I don't know if just community pressure by itself is just going to get the job done.
Or and she starts talking to her little friends, and she starts telling them how liberating it is and how great it is and this and that. And this is why when women have divorced friends, their likelihood of divorce actually rapidly increases. It's for this reason.
Divorce is contagious.
So if it's the case that this social contagion is eliminated because now we have an ecclesiastical structure, an ecclesiastical authority, which won't grant it because you get ostracized from that social group through excommunication, for instance, or not being able to participate anymore with that community, that's an application of a serious and significant social pressure, which can do the very thing you want. Bring back that great institution, absent the state, and it avoids this whole problem of common law marriage. Because if it's the case that you can be common law married anyway, inside of a state, and they can get grounds for divorce on that anyway, then we actually need to have some social pressures to prevent them from doing that. So it sounds like we agree marriage is awesome for men. Divorce is terrible for them. So it seems like we should be attacking the divorce structure here, and it doesn't seem like you actually have anything to do that other than just avoid the thing that's great for you, because this other bad side effect could happen.
Sure, that's like smoking cigarettes.
So why don't we attack the bad side effect when we have the mechanism to do it? It's not if, we can do it now.
Okay, so like smoking cigarettes is the same analogy you're saying. Okay, here, cigarettes in this situation, we obviously know it has negative side effects, so you would avoid it. Now, here's the issue that I have with it. It sounds great on paper, but we can't travel to the land of make-believe.
I mean, I don't know about the cigarettes part, because it's like, what are the positives? You know what I'm saying? Like, even the positives ain't worth it. Like, I could argue that the positives of marriage could be worth it. You know, you get a partner, you get somebody that you can spend time with, you get somebody, like we just read, you can build with and make money with, or do a mission with, or be able to have companionship with, you know. But cigarettes, I don't know. But let's I don't know.
It sounds great. The majority of people probably wouldn't do it. And if you ask a guy, which this isn't important.
But real quick though, if it sounds great on paper, then why not try it, right? I'm just saying, if it sounds great on paper and if it did work before, then why not try it again?
Part, they're not even prepared to even talk about that. They don't even know what divorce laws are. So you're asking them to travel to the land of make-believe under a marriage system that small percentage of people use. No one uses it today. You might have said they used it to the past. Today, that doesn't exist. So we can't travel to the land of make-believe to make marriage work for you. It might work in your marriage, but it doesn't work for the greater structure.
Your argument here contradicts itself, because on the one hand, you say men don't know enough about marriage, but my assumption is that your mission is to let men know about marriage?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then, I don't understand how it's the land of make-believe if you can let them know about this, but I can't?
Sure.
Right,
so you can offer that.
So if I am, it sounds like I'm offering a real alternative to what you're offering, and here's what you're offering. Men, marriage is great. It's a great institution. It's the best for children. These are your words. In marriage, right, men seem to thrive. Their health seems to thrive. Everything seems to thrive. You're saying, well, the problem is that divorce rates are high, and they are. However, there's a few things there that you haven't covered. One, it depends on demographic, too. For instance, if you're black, it's going to be way worse than if you're white.
Correct.
Okay? Way worse. And also socioeconomics matters, right? Demographics in general matter. So you can do a lot, actually, including prenuptial agreements. You can have a prenuptial agreement with the ecclesiastical authority without the state even involved. And it seems like that would mitigate your risk to damn near nothing.
You said if about 50 times today.
So did you.
Now, here's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you when, all right? We're already in this system. You're going outside of the system to create a scenario for me to argue
against. What system
are
you going outside of?
We're talking about marriage is typically done with the state. Almost everyone does it this way.
Typically,
so now hold on for a second. You've moved the goalposts. You've moved the goalposts to a scenario of if. And you're arguing from the if. No, hold on for a second. You're arguing from the if perspective.
It is perspective.
No, listen.
It is.
Give me a chance to listen.
All right,
give me a chance.
Go ahead.
You're arguing from a very small percentage point. Now you're saying demographics, and we can talk about that, but you're still trying to get me to argue in your cloud of if. That's the land of make-believe. Most people, by far, are married to the state. Not only that, your land of make-believe still exists, the prenup with the ecclesiastics. You can write whatever you want in that prenup. It only matters in the divorce. That's the reality. So I'm still dealing in reality.
So
You're in
am
the
I.
clouds. Hold on for a second. You're in the
Okay.
clouds. So let's take the demographics.
Okay.
In your scenario, it sounds like, which would be fair, your primary concern is with white people.
No, it's with
Hold
all
on for a second. You said with black people, the demographics, the chance is higher.
Yeah.
So have you discovered the ecclesiastics approach to black people married within this?
Yes.
However, their demographics, economics, which all do affect marriage, has nothing to do in the land of the clouds or the make-believe with ecclesiastics. It's all going to boil down to in the law. And there's no church reverend that's going to go into your household to make sure there's social pressure on your wife. Do you know
yes,
any?
sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know any that can cover all marriages?
Yes.
That
Yes.
answer is no.
Yes. By the way, we keep.
Are we in reality?
this.
Or
I'm
are we
trying-
in the clouds.
when
I mean,
you're-
we're
when
not
you're-
we're not arguing
I was
anything
just trying-
legitimate.
I was just
this
trying
is
to-
this is in the land of make believe.
Well, when I'm allowed to respond, let me
Okay,
know.
give me a second.
Go ahead.
Let me finish this point.
Go ahead.
You're imagining. Your imagination is great. John Lennon would be great. You know, you would be proud of you at this particular point.
But I'm imagining all the people.
You're imagining all the people under a situation and a structure that you brought in here, all right? But the state highly governs this, and the state highly governs divorce. I'm dealing in a reality situation where I'm trying to counsel men to give information to.
Well, I think he's saying, I think what Andrew is saying is get married under God with no state involved. And I think what Coach is saying is most people is gonna go down and like from the courthouse and legalize it in front of everyone. But Andrew is saying if you do that way, then you're at more risk versus if you do it under God, then you aren't at any risk. I think that's what I'm getting from this.
The best thing you've told me is that you're willing to give men the option to do this. Are they willing to all do this option? The answer is probably not, just like they're not willing to do what I'm telling them to do. However, we're both attempting, which is a good thing. It's noble. However, your situation rarely exists. Can we talk about the reality of what exists?
Sure.
Absolutely. So
It might rarely exist,
let's
but that
take
mean
your
it can't
moral,
exist
religious
more.
crusade out of it and talk about the reality.
Yeah, let's
Are you
not.
willing to do that?
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
See, you're not willing to do that
Well,
because it's all based on your reality.
Guess what? It's a debate, and I will argue my points from my view, how I see fit. It's not for you to
But what I'm
govern.
not going to do is expect
not
to
my
be arguing
government.
from the land of make believe.
Yeah, but it's
okay.
not- you
All
don't-
right. So
okay, yeah,
anybody
my
have
turn, my turn,
Anybody
relax.
have anybody have the sound effect for the television show where the train comes through, Mr. Rogers?
Let me know when
because
you-
I want to be on.
let me know
I
when you
want to be
gas
on
out.
Earth.
Yeah, let me know
All
when
right.
you gas
Let's
out.
let Andrew respond.
Yeah, so the thing is it's funny that you bring up Imagine All the People of John Lennon, which is an anti-religious song. And
you want to chat with
hilariously enough, was designed to assist with female empowerment. Isn't that hilarious? But the thing here is you keep on saying that what I'm offering is make-believe, but it's not. It's been governing the Orthodox and Catholic Church for 2,000 years, including in this country. Now, here, let me give you an example, for instance, the Amish, right? Do you know what the divorce rate is among them? It's almost non-existent, yet they're still governed by the same laws of the land that you're speaking to. So sounds like if I give a counter, if I say, look, I can give you a way, a methodology, in which you can utilize the religious ecclesiastical institution which has existed for 2,000 years and has right now the lowest divorce rates, right this second.
But everybody ain't gonna live like the Amish. I'm just being honest.
As we speak, not in make-believe land, not hundreds of years in the future, right this second, as opposed to the system you have of common law divorce, which is sky high and you can't do anything about it. That's what is true. So pointing out what is true is right now you can have a prenup. That is true. What is true is prenups are usually held up in court. That is true. What is true is that you can have a marriage outside of a state because it's a religious institution anyway. You never have to have a license with the state. It's never been necessary. And if you do, the only way that that can be done is if it's sacramental. And if it's sacramental, it's governed now by the church. That's going to be the community the women are a part of. And so the thing is like, that sounds like a real viable solution. What's yours? More fucking degeneracy? Go out and play the field? Hump a lot of chicks? How's that going to help anybody do anything? That's been the progressive mantra for 100 years. Isn't it wonderful? Your turn.
All right, we're turning back to Earth now. first things first. When it comes to
Well, you asked him a direct question. I ain't gonna lie. He said, "Well, that sounds better than going out and having and cracking a bunch of women." That's true. So he's like, "What's it? What's your answer?" Let's see if he answered though.
this back in reality, there's no God in marriage. So Mr. Sky Daddy, God, religion, that's all great, but there's no God in marriage. At this particular point, when you go through a marriage, if one person decides to not obey the Holy Bible or whatever you're thumping, you have no basis to keep that marriage together. If she
Facts though. That's facts.
decides to leave the church and decides not to listen or excommunicate herself, she's now under the state.
Agree.
Now,
Facts.
when you're getting divorced, which I'm assuming you've been divorced,
But that's legal.
Well, I mean, that's a hell of an assumption to make.
have you been divorced?
Well, I mean,
have you been married?
Can you tell me, if you can tell me how that has any merit?
Give me
to
a
the
second,
It
debate?
don't matter if it has merit. He asked you a direct question, kind of the same way. You know, you should answer.
If you've been through one, you would know that there's no God in the divorce court, in the
I
family
see.
court. There's no God in there. No one asked you.
There is the state in there.
There is the state. So that's what we're arguing from.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
when you get married. So you're telling me if, and I'm telling you, well, this is what's going to happen. Even if you took Sky Daddy into court with you, they would say, you pray to the judge.
How-
The judge is the authority in the court. So the God argument is a nice, interesting argument. And I probably am not going to stay on the conversation very long because that's your God. That's your Sky Daddy. That's your religion. I have a different religion. So who
What does that
gives you
do with
the
anything?
listen? Who gives you the authority to change the understanding, the conversation to your religion? That's your religion.
I'm not changing the conversation.
Okay,
either.
so it only
We're
works
talking
if
about-
it only works if you believe in your Sky Daddy.
We're ta-
That's the only way it works, and that's the only way you're going to advise
Well-
men.
He made a valid point. It only works if you believe in your Sky Daddy. And if you don't believe in the Sky Daddy, what's the other options? Because I see it from two different perspectives. My background is in biology, okay? So I'm still a Christian, but I understand what he is saying from a scientific perspective, right? Like the biology of a woman could still void all religion and not care and divorce you. So that's true. That is true. That is true, right? Religion don't stop the 28-day cycles of 4 phases that changes mood swings and emotions and energy levels. No. But, which I think Andrew makes a great point. Well, what is the counter offer? Like you're saying, don't believe in Sky Daddy, but what he said he has a different religion. So it's like, what is in your religion then?
We're talking about mitigating risk.
No. We're talking
Have
about
sex with a bunch of women? I'm not being funny. I'm just asking. Like, is that his religion? Like, we can have sex with a bunch of women?
can men get into a marriage today only under your Sky Daddy? That's what we're assuming.
Okay.
Now, can they do it otherwise?
Yeah, you can have secular marriage.
Okay, go ahead and explain.
Okay, yeah.
Make it work.
I just did.
Make it work.
The argument that you have is that marriage is great. It's a great institution.
We already covered this.
Well, what made it great?
We already covered
What
this.
made it great?
Can we go into why it would make
made
it
it
work
great?
for your secular?
Yeah.
That's the question
Yeah.
I ask you.
But-
You're asking me questions back. Go ahead and
Yeah,
go ahead and
okay.
answer the
So-
question.
So, if you're talking about secular marriage, there's never been any point to it.
I'm sorry.
There's never been any point to secular marriage, ever. Never. What would ever be the point of secular marriage? It's always been a religious institution. That's what made it great. Now, when you say it's a great institution, what made it great for secularists, other than the fact that Sky Daddy and God had all these enforcement arms and those things had to be enforced socially? Like, for instance, men weren't allowed to run away. And women, right, they had to show cause for these divorces. And they had to be good causes. They had to show it for things like infidelity, right? It was all biblically governed. It was all lawfully governed by this Sky Daddy guy you like so little. But that's what made the institution great in the first place. And what you're talking about here, you're making a point that divorce is bad. And yet, I agree, divorce is bad. So what we're really talking about is how do we mitigate the risk for divorce? And we have to
But as we already went over here, right? Let's go over it again. One more time, right? Jesus said divorce is permitted except for sexual immorality, infidelity, commits adultery. So it's interpreted as divorce when one spouse commits adultery. So if one spouse commits adultery, then that can contribute to the Christian divorce rates, because that would be validly okay for them to leave. Again, it ain't gonna be perfect. It's just a baseline. Yeah, y'all seen what that was. Oh yeah. I gotta let y'all see it a little bit.
Two different methods here.
Well, the conversation is marriage good for men. That's the conversation.
But it is. We already said it's good for men.
Yeah, it is proven that it's good for men in the marriage. Divorce ain't that good for men, but in marriage there's great benefits for men.
And that's not even a dispute.
And now, how do we make it better since they're avoiding
Well,
it?
it
Since
sounds
men or women
like,
are avoiding it.
It sounds like the thing that you think makes it bad is divorce, not marriage.
Correct.
Then we need to mitigate divorce.
We're 15 minutes in, and we are in the land of reality. You finally call.
Okay, so we're gonna stop right here for today. We're gonna see some of the chat. I don't know why it ain't the comments. Maybe because it's the live one. Ain't showing the comments. No problem. No problem. I give it a like. Yeah, but I won't show the comments. All right, no problem. We'll just come back. I get the comments on the next one. When we break it down, we already went to where we at? We had 36 minutes, so we'll come back and we'll see. But let me know how y'all think, how y'all feel. All right, is marriage worth it to you? Me personally, if it's not godly aligned and she's real deal about, following the biblical worldview, where like when you bring the Bible up to her, she's convicted by the Bible because she truly believes in God, then to me, that's something worth fighting for in a marriage. Other than that, if you can't bring the Bible up to her, because there's situations where y'all both can be Christians, but you can bring the Bible up and she can still not listen. She can still think you're framing her, So it gotta be worth it. Just let me know how y'all feeling.